are on our way to the other side to walk out to, I think it's called Penir. This little hiking trail. De pratar engelska så att de ska förstå. Får jag det? Tack så mycket.
In last week's episode, we had a windy and fast sail from Dieppe to Camaret-sur-Mer.
Yeah, it's been a long day. Finally, the wind and the waves have calmed down a little bit. .1 knots I saw there. That's not something you see very often.
We're out hiking today with another Swedish family, Lundqvist family, that arrived in the harbor yesterday. We've never met each other before, but it's so much fun to meet another Swedish family with kids. Var är vi någonstans, Vera?
Vi är en labyrint.
It does look like a labyrinth.
So we're in this old fort from the 1840s.
Actually, the history of this fortification goes all the way back to the mid-1600s and was built to protect the Camaret-sur-Mer Bay, but also the waters further out, leading into the important naval base in Brest.
It's such a beautiful place here, and today it's just the perfect day for this hiking here. Almost no wind and really calm day.
We walked along the coastline facing the open ocean and down to Penat Beach to eat our lunch.
Just love this beach, and now it's low tide, so the beach is really wide, as you can see. It's a popular surf spot. There are a couple of surfers out here, but you're not allowed to swim here, I guess, because there's really strong currents. There are warning signs up there, and I can imagine that with the tides they have in this area, that there are pretty strong currents.
The trail continues from the beach and up to the rocky plateau.
So these bunkers are remnants of Hitler's Atlantic Wall that the Germans built here during the Second World War.
Once there were soldiers in these bunkers, and a big cannon stood in front of the open window. But today there was graffiti on the walls and quite a smell of urine. We could see that there was something going on in the next bunker, and we found out that they were shooting a French mini-TV series called L'Île Prisonnière.
We're heading back now down to the village and the boats. It's been a long walk, and I think we'll come back another day and we'll go all the way out to the point. I mean, this whole area is so amazing, it's so beautiful. You can spend so many days here, just explore.
We sat down at a creperie where the little ones could rest their legs.
Vill du ha? I'm having a kebab with ham and cheese. Really good. Especially after this walk.
The same night, a big storm came in, and we were woken up at 4 a.m. by very strong wind gusts that made the boat heel over a lot.
Close to 60 knots in the gusts.
Yeah, what an awakening. Right now we're heeling 10 degrees. And that is pretty, you notice that a lot. Now it's almost 15 degrees.
Yeah, like I said before, right now I think the wind is gusting to 60 knots, so quite powerful. I think we're okay now, but yeah, one of the fenders popped up, so there is a little scratch in the L coat, but I think we can buff it out. Oh, it's crazy, those gusts.
I checked on windy right now,
Yeah.
and it's straight over us.
Yeah.
The worst part.
Ah! I borrowed two more fenders. A Swedish boat neighbor over here. So that's nice. I think we need to put some more air in at least two of the fenders, the new ones. They're a bit soft. But the boat is pretty heavy. And yeah, a lot of wind tonight.
And the bad weather continued.
We're escaping the rolly boat and marina, and today we have rented a car. We're heading into Brest, and we'll have a day doing some errands, and maybe we'll go and visit an aquarium called the Oceanopolis.
It's been very windy for the last few days, and it's not looking any better for the coming week. So we're stuck here for a while, as it looks now. Right now there's 8 or 9 boats waiting here in the marina for the right weather window to cross the Bay of Biscay down to Spain. There's actually one leaving today, 52-foot or 55-foot catamaran, but they will have a really rough passage. Right now the significant wave height out there is 4.5 meters, and the wind speed is 35 knots from the southwest. So they will have it almost straight on the nose, and that will be a pretty uncomfortable ride.
Lies about an hour north from Camaret-sur-Mer with car, and is one of the bigger cities in the area. We started at the ship chandlery, like always, and got some small stuff for the boat. The aquarium was huge, and Vera was a little afraid of some of the fish.
So the other day when we sailed from Dieppe to here in Camaret, I noticed that we had a little bit too much slack in our forward lowers. So I'll put a little bit more tension on them now. There will of course always be a bit of movement in the mast when you have high winds like that. We had around 26 knots on wind and pretty big seas, and we were not hard on the wind but around 60 degrees. So there will of course be some movement in the mast and the rigging, but you don't want it to be too much, because then you could have work hardening of the stainless steel in the wire, and in the long run that can make the wire break. So I'll just put a little bit more tension on these just to prevent them from moving around when you have conditions like that. Yeah, movement like this in the rigging on the leeward side can of course also be because of the hull is flexing, especially if you have big waves and the boat is bouncing up and down, then the hull can flex a bit, and that can also give you loose wires on the leeward side. But in this case it's definitely because these were not properly tensioned, because you could see up in the mast that it was giving way a bit to the side. On some boats it can be really hard to get proper tension in the rigging, because the hull is giving way when you put too much tension on the rig. On a boat like that, you can actually destroy the hull if you put too much pressure on this, because no matter how much tension you put on these, the hull will just give. So on a boat like that, you just have to live with that there will be some movement in the leeward rigging when you're sailing in heavy seas. Yeah, we'll start by giving it 2 half turns on each side, and we'll check if the mast is still straight, and then I'll see if I might give it some more. Yeah, I think that's it. We're pretty close. Yeah, it's not very easy to do adjustments like this at the dock. Normally I like to go out at sea and make a couple of tacks and do the final adjustments out at sea. But I think we're pretty close now, so this will have to do.
In the evening there was a concert in the church. Vera, you're the best assistant. We were now 3 Swedish boats in the marina, all with children.
Swedish dinghy fleet is out, heading out in the bay of Camaret. Det där djurregelvet skulle vinka. Behind us. The waves were a little bit too big. Now we're heading to the beach in town instead. Today is the day before a all three of us made it ashore. If it had only been like 10 degrees warmer, it would have been so nice here. The beach is lovely and the water is super clear. The water disappeared quite fast, so now we have a couple of meters to the water. Oh.
We're taking the dinghy into town to take the opportunity to go to the store today, because tomorrow it's going to be quite windy and rainy, so better get the shopping done today.
We've been here a week now, and one day it has been raining, and the next it's been sunny but very windy. But we were glad to be able to go to the beach this day, because the morning after it looked like this.
Pretty windy right now. We have around 40 knots sustained winds. And the wind is forecasted to increase even more, up to 60 knots in the gusts later today, or within a couple of hours.
Three Swedish boats, one Norwegian, one French and Belgian boat, all waiting to go south. Checking the weather multiple times a day, hoping for a weather window to sail across the Bay of Biscay. But still no weather window.